This film tells the story of two very different worlds. A film with a fresh and distinctive fantasy comedy genre, which can make the audience feel and get involved in the storyline. This film, which was made in 2007, is from France, made by a producer named Jeremy Burdick and Benoît Jobert, with writers named Daniel Cohen, Jean-Marc Culiersi, and Eva Maria Peters. Recorded at Abbey Road Studios, Richard Harvey's impressive and engrossing score effortlessly blends epic adventure, touching romance, and eccentricity in a result that is as diverse as it is brilliant. This film begins by showing a people or tribe who are enslaved almost all their lives by other very cruel people. They always believe in the existence of another world, where from that world a savior will come who will free them from oppression and bring eternal glory and peace. The savior who traveled through time and liberated an oppressed tribe in another world. It starts by showing a person who works as a painting restoration expert named Ramai Bassano, a shy and humble young man in the parallel world of Bigamini who is a blessing from heaven, as seen by the people of the world. This man lives his life with his wife Lucille, played by Natacha Lindinger, and their two cute children named Theo and Lisa. One day, while performing some magic tricks on their son, Ramai suddenly felt as if he was going to sink into a chair. He immediately got up thinking that everything was just a hallucination. But on the one hand, Ramai continues to think about it, because after today Ramai often experiences similar incidents. Not only did he sink into the sofa, but he also sank into his bed. One day when he finished work because he was too busy, plus the presence of my son and daughter who were very active in the studio made Ramai tired, so he forgot to turn off the water tap. As a result, tomorrow morning the entire studio was flooded. This simple mistake cost him all his wealth, including losing his job. While trying to save the submerged paintings, Ramai suddenly sank to the floor. Not only into the water but into the floor as if something was pulling him until he finally appeared in a completely unknown lake. After looking around, Ramai realized that he was in another world that had 3 suns. Soon a group of tribesmen came to witness Ramai's arrival. This scared Ramai and he immediately stepped away to escape. Luckily the man was pulled back into the lake. So in an instant, Ramai returned to his original world. Ramai felt conscious and was very sure that what he had previously experienced was not a dream. When he arrived home, Ramai tried to tell Lucille what he had experienced about the incident, but Lucille was not at all interested and instead told him another nightmare that Ramai had been afraid of had finally happened. Lucille has fallen in love with a colleague who works as a very handsome doctor named Dr. Antoine. They have had a romantic relationship and decided to live together. Ramai's fate is truly unfortunate. After losing his livelihood, his wife is now taken by another man. However, Ramai tried to understand by being calm and trying to talk about their relationship. However, it was surprising that what was even worse was that at this time Lucille brought Antoine home because she wanted to talk directly to Ramai. There was nothing to talk about. Ramai just let Lucille and Antoine do whatever they wanted, and Ramai promised he would leave the house as soon as he found a new place to live. Feeling he needed a place to share his home, Ramai visited his extended family. They listened to Ramai's sad story carefully, but only for a few moments because then their attention was directed to their favorite family member who was always successful in all fields and had a lot of money. Ramai, who felt neglected, decided to retreat to the kitchen and spend time alone enjoying coffee. But suddenly strange events occurred again. When the family's beloved cat Ramai was about to jump onto the refrigerator, the cat suddenly became stiff as a statue. When Ramai held it, the cat looked like a toy and immediately fell to the floor. It turned out that not only the cat but all the family members who were gathered together also became stiff as statues. Then suddenly Ramai sank back into the floor and disappeared. Then he fell, he screamed for help but none of the family members heard him. When Ramai woke up he realized that he was in the middle of a forest whose location was completely unknown. While still holding the coffee kettle he was still holding from home. When he started walking down the path, Ramai saw a group of people slaughtering animals. Immediately Ramai tried to approach them, interact with them, and finally realized something, so he decided to run away because he wanted to be used as dinner for the group leader. Not long afterward he entered a large building to take shelter, ignoring the prohibitions of the workers around the building. It was very surprising that inside the building it was quite dark like a cave. Then suddenly Ramai was thrown from the cave and Ramai returned to the kitchen of his family's house, which caused everything to fall apart. Of course, this made all the family members come to check. Ramai tried to explain what happened but no one believed him. Until finally when he was about to continue drinking coffee, Ramai collapsed and became unconscious. After that, Ramai visited the doctor to check his condition. The doctor said that Ramai did not suffer a concussion or other serious injuries, only that there was a scar from a bite on his neck. Ramai dared to explain but it was the same as the others. The doctor thought Ramai was tired so he often had hallucinations. The next day, Ramai returned to work, where the owner of the insurance agency building and the clients had gathered and were waiting for Ramai to discuss all kinds of payments and compensation costs. While listening to the conversation from each party, Ramai suddenly sank again as if he had been sucked into the floor. Ramai tried as hard as he could to fight, but in the end, he realized he was in another world for the third time. This time, Ramai appeared from a kind of basket placed on a tree that grew in the middle of the tube-like building. The tribe members were seen welcoming them happily and full of joy, because according to the tribe's belief, Ramai was the person they had been waiting for. They all cheered encouragingly, hoping that Ramai could come down from the tree by flying according to their prediction. However, it is a shame that this belief is wrong because Ramai landed by jumping and fell to the ground. Ramai could not fly. However, when Ramai was given green berries which tasted very unpleasant, Ramai still ate the fruit and miraculously immediately understood their language and was able to speak the language of the tribe. The tribal leader tries to explain the prophecy about the arrival of Ramai as a savior, who will save the people from an evil giant monster that eats flesh, and the giant is named Zotan. This creature kills and eats whoever it likes, so that every day the tribe members there live in excessive fear and anxiety. The tribal leader further explained that for the past week, they had been carrying out a special ritual to summon the savior to their world. This is the reason why Ramai experienced strange events several times, and of course, Ramai was shocked. Ramai tries to explain that he is nothing, so of course there is nothing Ramai can do to help save the lives of the tribe members. But instead the tribe members capture and hang Ramai, forcing Ramai to change his decision and help them. Ramai was then taken to a special room to allow him to think, prepare a strategy, and create a formation to fight Zotan's troops. All the events that happened made Ramai feel hungry, but when he saw the watermelon and held the watermelon, Ramai suddenly returned to his original world. This time I decided not to tell anyone because it was all useless. No one believed what was happening to me because they thought Ramai's story didn't make sense. Then Ramai tried to find information about interior tribes both in history books in the library and on the internet. Unfortunately, he couldn't find anything, so the only way to face the problem was to make himself strong and prepare to defeat Zotan when the war took place. What can I do with strong determination? Ramai deliberately consumes a lot of protein and vitamins to get strong muscles as a form of preparation for fighting Zotan. On the next occasion, Ramai returned to the other world full of confidence, trying to convince himself that he could defeat and remove Zotan from the lives of the tribesmen. This time I will fight not to feel lost again, to lose the trust of the tribe members who consider him their savior god. The tribal leader gave Ramai a special sword to fight Zotan the giant monster, but Ramai didn't want to use it against Zotan. Not at this time, because the first step I took was to invite the tribe to move to a new territory. This made everyone afraid because there was a regulation that prohibited them from crossing the border. Anyone who violates it will be struck by lightning. According to Ramai, this is all just nonsense, because God never forbids humans from traveling, let alone this journey for the common good. Soon Ramai proved it by inviting a woman to walk with him. After that, all the tribe members began to follow Ramai and became increasingly convinced that Ramai was indeed the person who was destined to become the god who would save their lives in the future. Several hours later, while still on the road, the group met and was confronted by two Zotan soldiers. They asked the tribe members to return to their place of origin or they would be punished if they still did not want to return. But Ramai refused and invited the tribe members to fight together against the Zotan soldiers. Unfortunately, the prophecy did not allow this, so inevitably Ramai had to act alone using the sword that the tribal leader gave him. I don't know where the ability to fight using a sword came from, but what is certain is that Ramai became increasingly admired by the tribesmen who followed and trusted him. One of the Zotan soldiers was hit by Ramai's sword, causing the soldier to die on the spot. Another chose to flee after seeing his colleague lose his life. When the atmosphere began to calm down, the tribe members took the bodies of the Zotan soldiers to be cleaned. Ramai was shocked when he found out that the soldier's corpse was going to be cooked and eaten. Ramai emphasized to them to stop this ridiculous tradition. The tribesmen reluctantly complied because they did not want to anger their savior. A moment later, several people revealed that Zotan was planning to attack their tribe and of course, a big war would soon occur. After hearing the news, Ramai immediately returned to his original world. When he returned to his home world, Ramai didn't waste any time. He immediately went to the library and started reading books about history, war strategies, and battle formations. He also researched government combat formations and other necessary matters. After learning that the most important factor in war is motivating troops, Ramai returns to the world of the tribes to put into practice everything he has learned in his home world. He also provided motivation and invited slaves to fight for their families. While waiting for the day of war to arrive, Ramai intends to stay there with the slaves and not return to his home world. Ramai spent the night with 6 women he chose from among the slaves, of course, all obeying the savior's orders. The women were willing to do whatever Ramai ordered, but sorry, it wasn't what we expected. It turned out that Ramai just spent the night telling stories about his life, about losing his job and being abandoned by his wife. And to this day, Ramai admits that he still loves Lucille. Not long ago, Ramai was forced to return because his son, Theo, was sad, knowing that his parents were going to separate. Then after successfully calming his son, Ramai immediately returned to another world and found himself in a basket. But now the basket is in the middle of a leaderless war. Of course, the tribe lost badly. Therefore Ramai ordered everyone to retreat and climb to higher ground. Then after giving instructions, Ramai decided to implement a strategy to defeat Zotan's troops. The next morning he started provoking Zotan's group. He slapped, insulted, threw stones, and threw arrows, until finally a third of the enemy troops were killed by arrows and the rest did not move. Facing a sudden attack in just a few minutes, Zotan and his troops decided to retreat, unable to continue fighting. This indicates that Ramai and the tribe or slaves succeeded in winning the war. They became increasingly submissive to Ramai, who was not only a savior but a war hero for the tribe. Ramai was then appointed emperor. Using his knowledge in the real world, the man built villages and residential areas and did not forget a magnificent palace which made the lives of people who were once slaves now free and advanced humans, and made the village turn into a modern civilization. This situation made Ramai immediately respected like a savior god and given many concubines to live with him. Even so, Ramai still often continues his hobby. He is very diligent in painting in his spare time. At one time he painted his favorite concubine in a style like the famous Mona Lisa painting. 6 months passed, and Ramai's position and authority as emperor immediately had a huge impact on his personal life. This made Dr. Antoine no longer attractive to Lucile, so Dr. Antoine felt his position was threatened, and the two of them fought with each other. One day the two of them were involved in an argument. Ramai was fed up with all of Antoine's kindness, which was very detrimental. This time the man even allowed refugees to stay at his house. As time went by, the throne seemed to blind Ramai. The man who was once known as kind and humble has now become arrogant and treats people as slaves while continuing to let success get to his head. Initially, the tribesmen living in the village were still willing to follow Ramai's orders for several months, but as time went by they all began to protest against Ramai's change in attitude towards them. In a meeting they expressed the complaints they had felt so far, where the tribe members claimed that they worked too much and were paid too little wages. They also expressed that it was better to work with Zotan, where even though they were considered slaves, they were still paid. Meanwhile, under Ramai's empire, they got nothing, all for Ramai's entertainment alone. Ramai was only busy building his palace without caring about village development. Ramai tried to negotiate, but unfortunately, his efforts were unsuccessful. They were already disappointed with Ramai's attitude. Finally, there was a riot which resulted in Ramai being arrested and expelled from the village, and Ramai decided to return to his original world where his family was. Some time later Ramai went to meet Sergei, a friend I had told about the other world of tribes. Of course, Sergei didn't believe it either and thought that it was just Ramai's imagination. Sergei felt concerned about what had happened to his friend, so he promised to lend him his private studio so that Ramai could open a business. That night Sergei kept his promise to lend Ramai the studio, for which Ramai was very grateful. It was clear at this point that Ramai was much more humble than when he was emperor. His life returned to a simple phase. The first painting that Ramai worked on belonged to a client named Delphine. Since then Ramai has returned to being the old Ramai. One day Delphine took her painting. This was not the first meeting because Ramai and Delphine had met before and seemed attracted to each other, so they promised to have dinner together. A very impressive dinner, but it was a shame that Ramai's romantic moments were dragged back to another world. A tribal leader explains that they summoned Ramai to fulfill the prophecy, namely to defeat Zotan in a one-on-one duel. Of course, Ramai didn't want to be involved with this crazy prediction anymore, but what can I say? They immediately took Ramai and threw him into the cave. After a short and very deadly fight, Ramai, who was almost killed, managed to throw a spear straight at Zotan's chest, causing the giant creature to be in pain until it came out of the cave and breathed its last breath in front of the tribe members. Seeing this, the tribe members cheered happily, because finally they had succeeded in fulfilling the prophecy in the ancient book which they believed in. Unfortunately, instead of being considered heroes, the tribe members intended to kill and eat Ramai's body. Now everyone is preparing to carry out the final ritual, namely eating Ramai to gain the young man's strength. A victory that brought disaster to Ramai, so he immediately ran into the forest to save himself from the tribe members who wanted to eat him, while the tribal leader destroyed the artifact that connected Ramai to the tribe's world so that Ramai could not return to his home world where Ramai gathered with his children and wife. But in reality, our hero was ridiculously caught. Luckily, when he was almost executed, several tribe members who believed in Ramai's teachings came to seize and throw the burning artifacts into the river. As a result, Ramai was able to return to his original world. When Ramai woke up he found himself in the hospital, saw Lucile and Delphine there too, as well as Ramai's entire extended family. At this moment Delphine finds out that Ramai and Lucile are not officially divorced, so Delphine decides to get away as soon as possible from Ramai and that person's life. Then in the next scene, Lucile revealed to Ramai that I had realized my mistake and admitted that my feelings of love for Ramai had never died. Apart from that, Lucille also told me that my relationship with Antoine had ended and hoped that Ramai could give their relationship a second chance. However, Ramai didn't respond at all because he still didn't believe it and was already hurt by Lucille's actions. The man just prayed that Lucille would always be happy. The film closes by showing the tribesmen building a large statue in the form of Ramai to honor Ramai's services as their savior in the village. Then we also show Ramai, who several months later visits Lucille and the children on the beach in Barcelona. The children were very happy with Ramai's arrival. They felt complete with the presence of their father. They spent time enjoying the holiday together, and the film ended.